Welcome. Today we're going to be going over back testing. Okay, so the idea of back testing is the market is very volatile. It is also very random. If you've never read the book Trading in the Zone, I highly recommend it. But basically, he goes on to explain that all strategies work in a way, but at the same time, the idea that of the market is thousands of people are either buying or selling at any given moment when the market is open, right? So there's a lot that goes into that is based on randomness, but there is a method to the madness because there are larger accounts, there are systems that we can break down, there are things that we can test to get an edge on the market. And that's what backtesting is for. The main thing that you have to understand is that the more that you backtest, the better, the more confident you are going to be in the live markets. A lot of people poo-poo backtesting. I am pro backtesting, and I will not believe in you as a trader until you either show me profits or until you show me that you've backtested something a billion times, right? And there's this really great book. I'll have to find it. But he basically really beats you in the head. Like, find a strategy, back test it 1,000 times. 1,000 times. Once you've back tested it 1,000 times and you've truly mastered the model and you truly understand what is it that you're doing, you will be ready to make money. Now, I don't think you have to do it 1,000 times, but you got to do this. Every weekend I try and back test the last week to see what was the moves, where could I have done better, what can I improve on, and it really just kind of gets you in the zone. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be looking at TradingView. I'm going to be back testing what I call the house method. There's lots of different ones, but this is one that we're going to back test for this video. I call it the house system because it'll buy you a freaking house when you do it right. And yeah, it's really simple. So you have to have a TradingView account. Make sure you have the upgraded version so you can do Nasdaq. And again, you'll see that each contract on the Nasdaq only goes back to like the month. So like if you start seeing like these little BS lines, means that this contract has expired and you have to go to where the lines are solid and you'll be in the right zone. Also, what's cool about TradingView is it has these indicators. These are the ones that I like specifically. The ones that I have on that I've been using the most and that we're going to use are volume. So that's these down here. This just tells you how many contracts are in and out and if they're green or not. ICT kill zones. So this is the main one that I really like using. This is how I have it set up. Asia, London, PM. And this just tells me when I'm backtesting and when I'm live trading what happened during these zones, what happened during these opens. So this is the Asia Open, the London Open, and the New York Open. And you'll see if it works. That'll happen to it. Okay, so it starts here. It'll tell you basically what happened. And like this will create a range for me because this is I believe there's volatility whenever there's these openings because the most amount of contracts that get bought and sold are within the first 5 minutes of the opening bell of London, Asian, and New York session, and then we also have the previous day high and low, and this is just a very good thing to understand. Another one that I like to have is the orb. So the hour open, so we can do this. So this is the 15-minute open. Okay, so let's back test it back to here. If you want to back test it inside of TradingView, pick your contract. You come up here, you click replay. Obviously, we're going to be just doing the New York Open because that's the market times that I trade. And essentially, you just start watching the markets and you look for entrances. Okay, so typically I would see, hey, we hit Asia low here. Let's basically buy one contract because this is a decent setup, not a great setup. We will risk $1,000, and let's see what happens. Boom, we're already up 520, no, 350, and it's not looking as strong as I want. We also came back into this fair value gap, and it's also only an hour in, so now we have the hour range. I'm probably going to stay in a little longer. Risk, risk, risk. We broke back into the fair value gap. We've exploded. And I probably would have gotten out at that $1,000. Would have done a 1-to-1, and now we're only up $500. Flatten it out. All right, but then you can basically just come in here and you can test this out. Obviously, we would not have stayed in the contract for that long, and as you can see, it absolutely exploded as soon as I got out. But now we're just going to the next session. And this is just what backtesting is, though. So again, my strategy is whenever we hit Asia low and we're in an upward trend, we have a bounce to the upside. Okay, and you'll have a more in-depth video on this. I'm just showing you how to backtest. So, and you can basically just play around with the numbers, but you want to just try and test one strategy, over and over and over. Okay, so here we are. Asia market was down. London looked like it kind of went down. We came all the way down here. This is yesterday's low, and now we're kind of cooking back up. I might wait for the open and then see what happens. Boom. Kind of a choppy open. Still no clear entry. Absolute carnage. We're now down at the yesterday's low, but it looks like we broke through here. And we continue to the downside. So I could have shorted right there, but it went too fast. And now we hit this low, which is always kind of interesting. Because this is another reason I like backtesting. So it's like, why did we completely reverse at this point? This seems very random. But then you go back to yesterday, and you can see actually on Friday, this is Friday's low. We came down, we hit Friday's low, and we took off from there. Let's see, and then we hit the low here, and we reversed off of there. Let's see if we break through. Nope. And now it's out of my market, so no trade that day. I probably could have caught this short, but whatever. I was looking for a long. You can also see the VWAP here. We broke below the VWAP, so if it goes below the VWAP, we're going to be looking for a short more than a long. And I'll just show you a couple more examples, and then that we'll go more in depth in the next videos. But this is how you backtest. This is all backtesting is you have one strategy that you're using, and you backtest it for as far back as you can, and you do it over and over and over until you can figure out the exact rules of what's going to work for you. Again, you'll see my systems, but you should backtest them so that you can prove to yourself that they work. All right, we missed the entrance because it absolutely went on a rip. So let's cheat, but I'll show you how to cheat. So you click select bar, you come back here. As you can see, we had a higher London, but then London actually absolutely tanked. We came right back down to this level, and we know that when we hit this level, if we see a reversal, we're probably going to be going to the upside. So let's just do the open is right here, and there's the open. We have an absolute, firepower of a candle. Let's go buy. We'll put our stop loss kind of right there. We're going to go for 1 to 2. Just means 1 to 2 risk reversal. And it absolutely crushed, right? So then we can get out right there. Actually, let's put another one on. This is just for fun. See how much higher it goes. Nope, it literally stopped right there where we got out. Good stuff. Up $600 from there. And now let's go to the next day. So we'll just let it play out. And again, we're just kind of learning what we're looking for, because in the live market, it's much harder than backtesting. Backtesting and sim trading is nothing like real money on the line during the real markets, but at least it gets our mind looking for patterns, understanding the market, how it moves. Again, we're trading on the 5-minute candle right now, and we're just constantly trying to trade our one system that we want to master, and we want to see, how many times can we see where the best entrance is, and then during the regular hours we want to try and do that. So again, I have the Asia London, kind of a sideways session. Also, it's a Thursday. The open, we didn't even hit the open yet. This is before the open. Open's about to happen here. So what do we do here, right? It looks like we hit Asia low here before market opened. We hit London low here, we bounced off, and then we broke way above London. I would assume that this would continue for the day. No, I wouldn't want to get in until market open does its thing. Boom, massive green candle to the upside. Let's see. Let's put in a candle. Let's just see what happens. Our stop loss would probably be like here. Another 1 to 2, risk 1,000. Boom, absolutely completely exploded. We only are risking one contract. Not quite a 1 to 2. This is a 1 to 1, but I'm gonna take that money and go. But let's just for fun, let's put one more on and see what happens here. It continues to the upside, kind of goes sideways. End of my session, broke even on the next one. But I hope you guys see I'm trading this. I'm analyzing. Right, I see that we hit the Asia low, then we hit the London low, boom, to the upside. Would have been a very green day, right? We would have had to survive these two candles, right? And then absolutely exploded. And you see we had this big move before the market open. So this is kind of a tell. And then we broke above London highs. So that's another tell that we're going to go to the moon. Cool. We'll do one more day and then we'll call this video a wrap and we'll go more in depth in the next videos. And you can kind of ignore all these other ones. I mean, the other indicator I have is called ICT Concepts. And ICT, if you don't know, he's a famous trader. I've tried to watch his videos. I mean, I've tried to watch them multiple times. The guy just freaking likes to hear himself talk. But he does have some very interesting concepts like the fair value gap. So whenever there's a big candle like this, or there's three big candles, and then it becomes this gap. And the idea is that whenever the big buyers stepped in right here and bought these candles, it was like buy, 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 right? And then there's a lot of candles that still need to get filled, and you have to understand this: the market makers or the people that are buying and selling the contracts on the back end are very efficient. It is a algorithm at this point, and it is super efficient. So if there's contracts sitting somewhere, it will go and get those contracts filled, and then it will continue on its way. So the idea with the fair value gap is all these contracts were just buy. So all the sell contracts could not be filled. There could also be a ton of contracts down below that just did not get filled. So the idea is when there's a fair value gap, it has to come back in and test, or it has to be filled. All those contracts have to be filled. So you see we came back in here. We went about 50%, and then we bounced back out. And then Asia kind of basically chopped in this fair value gap. It kind of became a range. I don't know why I told you all that, but the main thing is ICT algos. These are free, by the way, so you're not really you don't have to pay anything for them. We have officially hit Asia highs here. We still have all this liquidity down here that we have not gotten, so I would assume, I mean, it might be a down day. We might just come down here and then absolutely pump out of it. So let's see what happens. Market opens, very confused wicks, right? Boom, 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 up, down. No clear direction for the markets yet. We stay within that 5-minute range. We finally break out a little bit to the downside, and then, yep. So probably could have gotten in here for a downside, but now it's like 10 o'clock when we finally see this action. This was just straight barcode, just no trade on this day. I mean, you could have gotten a few scalps, obviously, up, and then we finally break down around lunchtime, and we get these contracts, and we kind of bounce. Still might be more contracts down here. Not a great entrance, but let's see what happens. So that was that day, no trade. I mean, again, scalps. You could have scalped. You could have gotten a short of this out of the 5-minute orb as well. But we came all the way back up to the VWAP. Tank down here, and then now we're kind of cooking up. But not for my strategy that I'm trying to show you. All right, here we have a good setup for the house setup. Let's keep going. Okay, so this is right before the open. We've hit VWAP here. We've hit VWAP here, and VWAP is held. So I would either expect another pullback into VWAP. If we break VWAP, I would expect that we go down to Asia low before we continue higher. Let's see what happens. Boom. Broke VWAP. Huge red candle. Let's see where this goes. Okay, so I would be it went too fast, but as you can see, I called it, I would be looking for an entrance down here at this Asia low. We came back up. We can maybe catch a little trade here. The risk to reward is pretty. I mean, it's very large, so we'll do for another 1-to-1. Let's see what happens. Up, immediately taken out. Would have been a loss on the day. But if we would have caught down here, like I was saying, I probably would have gotten a win, but this absolutely reversed on us. Market did not want to have a continuation to the upside yet. Sideways day, nothing too crazy. Okay, but that is back testing. Made $2,000 in profit. But again, you want to have a strategy that you want to look for every single day. You want to have the right time frame. We could have been testing on the 1 minute, could have been testing on the 15-minute, doesn't really matter. Whatever you would be trading during the day. And you're looking for patterns, right? So we probably wanted to come back here. But what I like to do is at least at the end of every week, so today's Friday, I would go back to Monday and I would back test, where were the big moves? Where were the clear setups that I missed or that I got in that really would have made a lot of sense? And that's what you want to do. All right, but that's back testing with TradingView. I'll show you more back testing, and we do live back testing in the mentorship with the community. But this is what you do. So back test and back test and back test some more. Talk to you in the next one.